Excellent. Welcome to the TADSummit Innovators segment. We have with us Holly, the SMS Queen. Holly, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm wonderful. How are you guys? Thank you for
We're
having me.
good. And we have, of course, Johnny on. Johnny, how are you?
I'm excited to have Hallie on. Are you
Excellent.
kidding me? I mean, she knows Pooja,
I do. I
which,
love
of
you.
course, I've only met Pooja by video, and I'm voting for her instead of Czar for president
President. Yeah, she's
because
going to be an
because
excellent president.
I think she'd be a better president, and I was hoping maybe you'd get me a bobblehead. I can't get any calls back from them,
I will.
so.
I will see her next week. Actually, I will ask her personally.
But I'm a big fan of anybody who does what she does and flies across the
Absolutely.
country and makes a stance and
Yep.
Yep.
calls it for what it is. So that'll never die for me.
No, absolutely. So
That's why I
Holly,
reached out to
maybe
you
you
guys.
could
Really,
give
I mean,
a
we're all trying to
background.
fight the good fight.
So maybe you can give a background to yourself, your history, and why you call yourself the SMS Queen.
All right. Well, my name is Holly Depies, and I, like a lot of us, fell into telecom. Unlike a lot of us, fell in love with telecom. I started as an agent in a call center. I worked my way up through nerd, building dialers, breaking dialers, and then API and SMS started, and I was responsible for a lot of the large single sending aggregators in marketing and finance, and the disconnect of how things should be and how they actually are. I just kind of found my niche there. I'm very good at putting together patterns. And so, once I realized I don't work for a company, I didn't work for that SaaS company. I didn't work for, a telecom company, and I worked for my customer. My life really changed. Unfortunately, that company kicked a lot of their marketers off and had to get rid of some of their employees. And for the first time, I had 20 voicemails that didn't say, "Oh no, who will take care of me?" It was, "Where are we going?" And so that was a testament to me that I was doing something right. I was, being honest with the customer. I was helping them through the process, and as best as I could. And I've been doing that now for 7 years, and I have some of those guys as my clients still. So, I did not dub myself the SMS Queen. I am not that narcissistic. But when 90% of your chats start with SMS Queen, help me, it comes down to where if you're going to start speaking up, you got to be brandable. So whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So you
Just
claim to be customer crowned as the SMS Queen.
Yes. I am not a narcissist in any way. Being on camera and pictures and things are cringy, but you know what?
Yeah.
It's important. I have a message, and I found you guys, and I was just like, who are these amazing lunatics? Because you guys talk about things that no one talks about,
Exactly.
and it's not pretty, and it's not that bad, but it's not pretty, and it's not great, but that is our world. And I think that's what makes me a little bit special or nichey is I've been on both sides. I understand the carrier side and I understand the customer side.
Yeah.
And someone needs to bridge that gap without just looking for fast revenue or right. So that's who I am.
Perfect. Excellent. So what are some of the challenges in your business that your customers are facing? Because there's a lot of, turmoil, shall we say, in the industry. So just interested, maybe you could characterize your typical customer and then sort of explain some of the challenges that they have in trying to operate SMS as a channel for their campaigns.
Yeah, and so I started in voice, and and then I went into heavy into lead gen and personal finance. But that's not where I stayed. I also worked with a lot of agencies, ad networks. I've helped smaller aggregators. I'm on the carrier side, bridge the gap of the rules, since we are living in the swamp of the wild west. And so I kind of have a mixed bag of customers, but I really like the lead gen and marketing space. And not because it's fast and dirty, but because, car companies don't market for themselves. Geico doesn't market for himself. Bank of America barely markets for themselves, and they do it poorly. And so, there is a need for that space. Does it need to be a little cleaned up? Of course, everything does. But, there's good companies in there that just want to send, what the customer's requesting. People want to do personal finance over SMS. People want to get a loan quote or a insurance quote over SMS. And so, it's not perfect, but that's kind of where I've lived. And then I also consult on the technology side. So what features people need, what things you need in your platform, so your customers don't just, berate you or you're creating a big ticket system. So that's kind of where I've been living. But I really like the carrier side. It's a crapshoot right now, but it is something that I understand at least. So
now for your clients, are they using 10DLC or toll-free? Is it a mix? What type of messaging are they using at the moment?
I still like 10DLC. 10DLC has kind of been my jam for the last 6 years. Even with the new TCR and that whole debacle, it still gives you a lot of flexibility, right? Gone are we never needed 20,000 numbers to run marketing before anyway. There was just no rules and no one else could figure it out. So the path of least resistance was buckets of numbers, which was overkill. As long as the carriers are cooperating, you don't need more than 5 or 10 numbers, and usually for variety or A/B testing or different messaging ads. So there's a good use case for it. I like toll-free when it cooperates as well. I feel like it's a fickle, prom queen. But I don't do a lot of short code, to be honest. Short code is expensive. It's a lengthy process. It does follow guidelines better than the other one. But it's not as boasted where people will sell it as you can get done whatever you want and however many messages. It's still, I like toll-free over that. But it's a mixed bag. Which is why
10 DLC is the 800-pound gorilla and the best form of messaging on the planet.
I agree.
Got to open up a text message. Everybody knows that. So when I just have a couple of questions, because obviously, you're competing with Twilio or you're using Twilio. How do you view that relationship?
I take the angry off Twilio and give them other choices. So I guess I'd be competing with them. But I don't really think it's, in our space, I really don't think there's a lot of competition. You need variety. You need different choices. Some carriers take some messaging, some don't. So you really need that variety in there to keep the space clean and give people options. Options and flexibility are really the most important. And you and I feel the same about Twilio. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I don't think anybody really knows how I feel about Twilio, but I'll give you an example. Here's Cineverse's website. Company called Cameo. I don't know if you can read this.
No.
Right? So on their website, it says, the fact that we have access to dedicated vetting team at Cineverse is the reason why we're still here. So Cameo has been destroyed, right? Messaging companies have been destroyed. We've been on our show because of the TCR and because of of what I call the sewer. And it's really El Salvador. So what you have here is you have the 3 mobile operators that really don't really care about messaging. And so it's a small part of their business, which they now just gave away to Google and Apple. I'll get to that. Yeah. And then you have this ecosystem of a sewer that is controlled by Cineverse, Twilio. It's the same word, and it's the same company now, right? And Zipwhip, it's all one place. So you don't find yourself on the outskirts of I've got a list of different companies. They call and complain. I'm like, look, if you don't file a lawsuit, you're done.
Exactly.
Right. And at the end of the day, and it's not going to change until I'll tell you when it's going to change. When the wolf comes, which is Google, right? Who just somehow or another, and see all the little sheep, they're all a bunch of little sheep. That's the industry.
I call them the sheep.
And the line is, once elected, I'll be a vegetarian. Yeah. And that's the wolf telling the sheep. That's the industry. If you guys don't think Google is going to annihilate everybody and change everything, you're greatly disturbed, because that's what they do. So look, I believe the mobile operators have had it. They sold out to Google and RCS years ago. They took big money from them. When I tried to buy the campaign registry, I had a senior executive at the operator say, look, I'd like to be part of your team because I know Google's going to buy it or take it over, because they kind of knew this was going to happen between Google and Apple, which in the US is almost 100% of the coverage. But right now you have an industry that all I'm hearing is it's, If you go to Twilio, you're given an agent. All he needs is your tax ID number. He'll handle the rest. So you've got all this privacy issue. You've got all this stuff, right? But they're able to do that.
But a tax ID doesn't vet you as a legitimate company either. Like if they
no, but it gets you through to Twilio. What I'm trying to say is, how do you compete with the fact that it's rigged, right, against companies like people like you? So I'm amazed that you're out here not crying and complaining like everybody else, and you're saying, I'm fine, I'm the SMS Queen. So you are the SMS Queen. So how do you do it? How do you get around everything? Or is that some kind of like Ollie secret?
No, it's not really a secret. It's called relationships. And so, my goal isn't to be some global, takeover $9 billion worth of revenue. My goal really is to help the people within my, digital marketing or marketing industries get the messaging down that really they're entitled to. The customer wants it. It's free speech. We're not talking about, selling children on the internet. It's legitimate, insurance traffic or whatever. And so what I've found is it's the art of working together. And so the best way to get through to someone who you're arguing with is to first align, right? De-escalate, and then find a way through it. Everyone loves a complaint. It's clickbait. You want clickbait, or do you want actual solutions, right? I like to provide actual solutions. I work with some of the aggregators. I don't like going direct to Cineverse or Twilio, and not because I'm trying to get away with anything, but because it's pointless, right? Yeah. I'm not big enough and I'm not small enough for anything to get done. So you use aggregators out there that have a good relationship with the upstream carriers already. They understand me, right? They have the time and the desire to actually get to know their clients. Know your customer is more than getting a driver's license and an EIN number. Anyone can get 19 EIN numbers. It doesn't mean you're a legit company. Yeah. If you wanted to go that route, you should make sure they paid 3 years of taxes in the US. So it's really just about getting through the garbage and the sewer, in order to get local businesses and good marketing companies able to send the text messages that they need to send and that their customers want. So I align and find a way through.
So
I'm not a self-serve platform that's just like, hey, here's the thing. I don't want to do anything.
Exactly. But to Johnny's point on Google, sort of pushing the players to the side, as it controls RCS. Do you think they will become the de facto player? Because no. So your view is
I don't.
Gotcha. No.
They've been shouting from the rooftops RCS, and the ones that really, really want RCS are the ones that want to get around spam evasion and they want to more spam. That's the problem. Yeah. I have people that are running on Google Voice and they send spam. Yeah. I don't help them with anything, but I just listen to what they do, and the mobile carriers, they need to realize two things. One, spam in America, unwanted messages at the current time is not our biggest issue. It's scams, right? Yes. And now those are coming from a lot of foreign countries.
Yes.
There's one thing. Two, they don't realize there's two customers now. Yes, I'm with T-Mobile as my on my cell phone, but I'm also a customer on the business side. Yeah. And so until they realize that there's a reason they put in a pass-through fee. They saw how much money people were making on marketing on P2P traffic. And they're like, we only make $20 a month on our customer services. Well, they created two customer buckets. Mm-hmm. And as a business providing SMS and providing companies the ability to send SMS, they wouldn't have put a pass-through fee if they did not think it was a viable source of revenue. Yeah. And so they need to treat us like a viable customer and realize that we got to meet in the middle. Otherwise, more apps are going to come out. We have Signal, we have Telegram, we have WhatsApp. There's no monitoring.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it gets more dangerous if they don't put their feet in, their hat in the ring to actually find a solution and not just cry about it or hide it or, we'll give it to Google. That's not a solution. They're the telecom provider. They're just getting a little lazy.
Understood.
In my opinion.
But the scams come from the amount of spam. And basically companies like yourself or people like under TCPA, all the lead gen industry that have consented traffic, like, I want to get these messages from my insurance company. I want to get these messages from my bank, right? They get lost in the shuffle. You've got TCPA litigation going against the honest companies mostly, that are trying to do business. And then you have the spam that is bringing in the scams from foreign countries and all about. So you can't have one without the other. And I haven't seen any solution for it. So, you know, my whole thing is, look, it's not going to go away. It's not going to, there's no solution, because the operators are beholden to El Salvador, to the gangs. It's just gangs. It's just gang warfare right now. And until really bad things start happening, which they are really happening, and they start happening to politicians, sadly, nothing's going to change. I mean, robocalls, we know, robocalls are down. I did it. What does that mean? Scams are up.
But robocalls don't mean that they're stealing your bank accounts. It just means that they're an efficient call center. Now, spoofing numbers, that's a whole nother thing, but that's not your normal lead generation marketing purpose, right?
No, your industry is your industry's taking the fall.
Yes.
For everything else. And you're taking the fall on litigation. You're taking the fall on the blame, when it's all coming. $70 billion was stolen last year because of robocalls or whatever, social engineering or what have you around there, right?
Yep.
I mean, obviously that's a different situation to what we've covered here on TADSummit. We've been really, on messaging because of the TCR, and because, me and Alan wrote messaging monopolies. I disagree. I believe the mobile operators are the ones that are the victims here, because they rely on their trusted partners in the mobile ecosystem. The only ecosystem does not work is messaging.
Not one. Not one ecosystem either. I mean, there's like 17 removed.
Yeah, and of all of the ecosystems that the mobile operators depend on, the mobile operators, they sell service. They don't own anything. They don't own the phone. They don't own anything. All they own is the SIM and the access in the customer, right? Exactly. And the quality of service. So they depend on whether it be Apple or Google for the phone or for operating. But all they own is the SIM. They just control the SIM, which is the most expensive real estate on earth. They still have the keys to the castle, the operators.
As they should.
But exactly. I mean, they pay for it. It is what it is. But my point being is, you're talking about the messaging ecosystem as you navigate it. You got to get through it. It shouldn't be that way. It should be based on, solving problems, doing marketing, helping people get more engagement, right? So my question to you is, do you see it getting worse? Do you see some of the other side companies of you having the problems? Is it a benefit to you that you're so much better than everybody else? Are you taking advantage of the chaos? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course. I'm
okay.
I'm navigating it though. I'm not. It's not like I'm taking advantage and then
I don't mean it that way. I mean, look.
But yeah,
when there's chaos, there's opportunity.
I took the time to understand both sides though, and that's where a lot of this problem is the mobile carriers, like you said, they are not retail customer facing companies. They are wholesale telco SIM providers, and what happened is they somehow became the emperor, yet with no infrastructure or desire to talk to people like me, right? And that shouldn't be their job, right? So the issue is they got greedy. They saw the revenue that people were making off of their binds and their lack of kind of foreseeing that they're going to need more than just monthly service fees, right? They should either be happy with their monthly service fees and let their providers and their partners make money on the way we make money, or they need to come off their high horse, put in some infrastructure and some actual service and get to know their customer. No, it's not solar is not the issue.
Their customer is the consumer. So I'll disagree with you.
I'm
their customer. Their customer is the one that calls them up and said, hey, I'm getting all these robocalls. Can you stop them? Or I clicked on these spam texts. I got scammed. That's their customer. They're consumers. They're front-facing to the consumers.
That's a vetting issue. That's a vetting issue, not a consumer issue. That's not even a lead gen issue. So the other thing is that they don't know their customer. They are not built to know their customer. They rely on their partners to know the end users. And like I said, the end users are two people now. They're customers who have a monthly mobile fee, and me or people like me who pay a pass-through fee to use their binds. So either don't offer it at all or realize you now have two customers. And I think that the other thing is we really need to redefine some of these things. Robocalls. Well, are you expecting a big insurance customer to hand dial everything? It's not efficient. So using a dialer doesn't mean that you're, spammer or scammers. And just because you may contact someone at a time where they may not want to be contacted, or maybe you didn't, it's not a perfect process to manage, the 30-day consent, but there's a difference between unwanted calls and scamming people. And I really think if we focus on the intent of harm instead of just, AI or dialers or volume, if we actually focused on
who's going to focus, who's going to fix it? It's not going to happen. So there is no we.
We can't all just complain about it and just wonder why it's not being fixed.
Listen, we've had people on with potential solutions. I mean, look, you have two gateways to the operators, Cinch and Cineverse. Well, actually, Cineverse and then Cinch here in a corner.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to do whatever they want, and Cinch and Cineverse being Twilio, and then a couple of other chosen few. So you're getting through one of the chosen ones to be able to manage your business at a markup, and that's how you're able to survive, because the industry is getting smaller. You got companies dropping like flies because
it's okay that we scared some of these people away. Some people needed to be scared away, right? But now we're at a point where we have small businesses, mom and pops, dry cleaners, or marketing agencies that specialize in this thing who can't get their customer requested messaging through. And really, it's all one reason I'm so successful is because I started going through the front door to carriers before anyone else did. Everyone else wanted to ask for forgiveness and not permission. I had personal financing and lead gen. I came right through the front door. Hi. And I asked them to let my traffic speak for itself. If it doesn't get complaints or unsub anywhere near 0.5%, Disneyland can't do that. Bank of America can't do that. If I could stick to my word on what I promised, they let me run traffic because we're not scamming anyone. And we're obviously not overly spamming anyone because no one's complaining. So let the messaging speak for itself. One, two, know who your customer is. Just because I have an EIN, I have 4 EINs. 2 of them I don't use. But have I paid taxes the last 3 years on my company? Am I a US based company with US representatives like you need to have in Australia or Italy? You can't run Australian traffic unless you have people on the ground.
You could run Wyoming traffic without any name behind it.
Well, you can, but not in Italy and not in Australia.
And you can't here. You can open up a company in Wyoming and be from God knows where and spam away.
And how many of our operators are actually US-based companies? There's a lot of deeper-rooted issues here. But
we're talking about scam. You're talking about tax ID. I'm not arguing with you. I'm fascinated by your upbeat and breath of fresh air, and I wish we would have had you on earlier. So you're finding a way. You're found a way to get around the chaos. But obviously, you have the experience. You know the customers, and you're dealing with big brands. And you're dealing with companies that say, "Look, Holly, we don't know what the hell's going on here," and you're just doing it that way. So
I just grunted out.
We love having you on. Obviously, I don't want to
all the time too. I tell people to go pound sand. People who don't want to change. And the other solution here is, and it's starting to happen, is multi-channel. You cannot just be an emailer or do you really need an omni-channel. I also work for a dialing platform called NobleBiz, who's a carrier, and it's about doing calls and also SMS. Like, have a workflow. Don't be so lazy. We're gone are the days where you could sit in your underwear in a basement and just spam email all day or just do one thing. If you really want to market to customers and you care about the consumer, then put in multi-channels that have at least a measurable ROI and effectiveness, and just go from there. And then you wait till the next wave of crap comes or the next whatever. Has our industry ever been stagnant?
That's
so
true.
You don't really have a beef. You're just over here and you're doing fine and you're happy. That's great.
Oh, I mean, I liked the days when I did barely anything and made 50 grand a month because I had all personal loans, right? But then all of a sudden, personal loans.
What does that mean? You had all personal loans?
I had
for our audience may not understand that.
Oh, sorry. I had marketing companies who marketed for personal loans, and a lot of those were inbound created. And they texted a short code, or they texted into a number and said, "I want help," or "I need a short-term loan." And then all of a sudden, that was the devil. And now insurance. I was like, it's not the vertical. It really is about who you are allowing to send any traffic. And you think the TCR was the savior. That was like putting a load of Skittles into a elephant rifle and shooting at a mosquito, right? It's like,
yeah, we don't. Well, that's because of the level of incompetence over there and just the people they gave it to. That's back to my game. It's El Salvador and their gangs.
Yeah,
and you have certain level of people running the interior messaging. I don't think it's the operators. I think it's the inside game. They're making money on spam, period. They don't care. Twilio, you can send anything you want. Send spam away. They make money on it. They love it. They love to send spam. They swim in it.
Twilio's
Spam.
a whole.
Well, Twilio's the monopoly. I mean, I was looking at the stock price this morning. It came down under 53. They're completely upside down. But what what people don't realize is they're so positioned in a monopolistic position right now. They have no competition, so they have no problem with you doing a little business that you're doing or targeted like that. But there's,
I never run on Twilio. SMS is one of those things where you don't fit into a box. Everything has a little bit of a gray area or a little bit of a caveat. I've never used Twilio. And a lot of the people, they'll build on Twilio.
You're a competitor.
Well, I don't really think it's a competitor. I have a totally different service.
How is it not a competitor? How do you have brands that use you that they want, and you tell them you're not a competitor? You don't look at it as a competitor, but that brand has an.
They're a dev company. They're a dev company. They're not a telecom company. They're a dev company. So people will come in, they'll build a platform, and yes, all the testing works, and then they want volume. Now they got to use another carrier. But at least Twilio lets them develop a platform and use another carrier if they want. They're not beholding them to the entire ecosystem of Twilio, right? They're very easy to build on. If you just
so I think what Holly's saying is she uses Cineverse. Now, when we say Twilio, we also mean Cineverse.
She doesn't know that they're the same.
The upstream somewhere they all goes through one or two gateways, right?
Exactly.
Along the way, you can still get it done without being a dirtbag or spam baiting. You're just finding a different path. And
it all goes through one gateway. It all goes through one gateway.
Yes.
And that's Cineverse, because they have A2P on all through operators. There's one company in the middle, which Twilio owns.
Yep.
So
there's one thing, you want to go directly to the king, or do you want to go through some of the rivers and get there faster? That I just go through the rivers.
But you're going through rivers that goes to the same place, and you think that's okay?
I don't care if it goes to the same place. If my customers can get what they need, right, in the path of least resistance, if someone else is getting that through letters.
I can't wait to have you next year on the show. And you see what's going to happen.
We can do this every month, boys. I love this. But
no. Next month won't make a difference. What happens in after November, what happens in December when unregistered messages get blocked, what happens when cases start coming out legally. So we're privy to other information. We love it that you're in the trenches. And, look, I feel bad that you have to navigate through all this unfortunate litigation through TCPA lawsuits that the scammers don't even have to deal with. You guys get the brunt of these antiquated TCPA rules, which sometimes I kind of enjoy, but could understand how it could be a problem for legitimate people.
Some of it deserve it. But, I reached out to you guys because I'm really hoping that we can find a group of people who actually care enough to stop a serial litigator, someone who for a job.
No, that's not going to happen. First of all, you're trying to put Czar out of business? Are you crazy?
No, the Czar works for us.
He's going to be president soon.
No, the Czar helps the marketing side, like the
no. Let me say, Czar's a defense attorney. Let me explain to you what he is.
Right? I know them very well, but they're for the
no. Forget him as an individual.
They're not. They're not.
No, they're defense attorneys.
They're defending marketing companies.
They're defending against people who are suing. Yes. In most cases, frivolously. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So the more people that are suing frivolously, the more customers Czar has, the bigger his firm.
And the more defense that we have against serial litigators. That shouldn't be a job.
Yeah, but that's Czar's problem. Czar's got to go fight those people. Well, who do you want to fight those people? It's a legal system. You can't change the legal system. They're allowed.
It's a mindset.
Look, they're changing some laws.
It's a mindset. If you're okay being shaken, so I come from call centers. People will call all the time just trying to shake us down. They'll take $500. That should be okay. Yeah. Yes, the legal system has their spot, but there's also just a community. We're a community of people and users.
Yeah, well, we're not the place to stop that.
Someone is.
Let me tell you something. This country.
Talk about it. We can at least talk about it. And the more
Let me
people
tell you how it
the more
works.
awareness there is. And the more
Let me tell you how it is.
someone has to do something.
I'm going to drop the mic on you. You go to a court, right? You have a lawyer on one side. You have a lawyer on another side.
Yeah.
Then you have a judge who was a lawyer, and he puts on a robe. And then you got the three of them together who are all lawyers.
Yep.
Who do you think they work for?
Right, but they are fighting for what they think is a little guy, which is the guy who's
a law firm first they represent themselves.
But
any law firm's first job is represent themselves, then their clients
against companies. They're not protecting anyone, but that's the mindset is I think they are. So the community as a whole should start changing that mindset, start changing the narrative, and then something has to happen at that point. There are people who need to be protected, but someone who literally sits around and has 300 lawsuits a year, that's not okay. It also degrades.
But it's legal,
right?
It's legal.
That's fine, but
it's legal. How do you stop it?
More than black and white, and there's a mindset and there's a community that can make change. And if you don't think a community can make change, and like we have a lot of history that can show that. So until more people start speaking out about how egregious this is, there's not going to be any change. Why would they? They're saving grandma in their eyes.
I'm sorry,
Holly, and uncle out of
it's extremely naive of you. Why would any lawyer care? Why would some of these scum lawyers care about any conversation anybody says? All they know is free money. They filed 300 lawsuits.
That's why
they filed 300 lawsuits.
That's why the czar is defending against these serial litigators, because it's just not right. And if one person
he's defending him, and he gets paid up front, and he gets paid up front by his client to defend against him, so he can't stop them.
There's nothing wrong there's nothing wrong for being paid.
No, that absolutely. What I'm saying, you're never going to stop it. You're never going to stop serial litigators. Never going to happen.
Either. So. You're never going to stop spam either. So where do you find that the level of
spam will be stopped? Not just, it'll take years. You'll see.
Yes, but not in the approach that we're making it, and not without everyone.
No, it'll take years, but eventually it'll get to a point where they'll have to do something like anything else.
I think that's because we're going to go back to carrier pigeons and handwritten letters. So we can either go backwards or forwards. And I think but I think what I'm saying is we're saying the same thing. I really think there's a common solution, and it really takes the community of users and aggregators and the whole ecosystem to really come together and at least have some sort of assimilance and common thinking. And that's a lot of problems with our MNOs. They are just Twilio T-Mobile can do this, AT&T can do that, Verizon can do this, instead of having a combined consensus of how things should be processed and moving forward. Banks have a process. Everything else has a process. So until everyone gets on the same page on either side, I guess at this point it doesn't matter what side it is. Hopefully it's the side of good and community. Then I don't think anything's going to change. But until then, I mean, all we can do is I stand on integrity. I work off integrity. You guys stand on integrity. You speak your mind. I speak my mind. I'm not afraid of someone not liking my opinion when it's the truth, and it's I do the best to do the right thing, and that's why I love you guys. We're loud.
Well, hopefully you'll be at our TADSummit 24. A lot of people are shunning us, and because we're not the old boys club. So hopefully you'll show up in October, and hopefully you'll tell some of the good companies and people, because we're going to have an event, and Alan Quayle is the only game in town as far as truth and our hackathons and whatever. So
you guys do such amazing things.
Alan, I've been talking a lot with Holly. We've been going back out. You're over there hiding in the corner.
We were talking for a while, but it was more fun to listen to you two.
But the same thing, just maybe in two different languages.
But we're saying two different things, Holly. We'll see you next year.
Because
mark my words. You see the wolf is going to come.
The wolf's already
and
here.
Things are going to change. No, not here yet. They're not. Google and Apple are not here yet. You'll see.
Yeah, I think that will substantially change.
And if the industry thinks they know what they're going to do, they're insane. So the operators have handed it over to Google and Apple, and rightfully so. And ecosystem is going to get shaken down.
We've been waiting 8 years for RCS to be adaptable.
But you do realize it was just approved. Apple just bent over. You do realize it just happened.
Spam is that more people will be able to spam. That's why we have apps, right? So we really.
But you do realize that they paid millions of dollars to the operators for access.
Of
It's
course.
not like something that you're waiting for. They paid.
No,
Google
I
said, here, AT&T, here's millions of dollars. We want your messaging. And why do they want it? Why does Google want to be in messaging?
revenue, and they're going to open up.
No, Holly. There's
Well,
one
Google's
reason
different.
why.
Google,
There's
Google's
one
different.
reason. There's one reason why Google wants everybody's messaging. There you go. They want to know what you're saying to Alan
It's always
on
data.
Tuesday night. Huh?
Well,
Exactly.
Any platform knows, Cineverse knows that now. If they actually kept enough databases, if I own a platform and I can see everyone's messaging because it goes through my database.
Cineverse doesn't even run their own platform. They outsource it. Cineverse is a whole nother. And by the way, just for the record, and I hope you're listening, Cineverse, I beat Cineverse. I'm the only one to beat Cineverse. So don't go Cineverse with me.
Our ecosystem is like a thousand paper thin layers, right? And we can pick our battles, but we really do need more of a community to be able to make any changes or protect grandma or protect our kids and also protect our small businesses. That's all we can do, and we can just keep dredging through until we can't. But I'm not willing to give up yet, and I like partnering with people like you and talking to people like you because it's there are egregious things happening, and unless anyone's aware about it. Nobody knew that, I negotiate for pieces of pennies, right? I met my fiance and he was a change thrower. I'm like, do not throw pennies. He's like, it's just a penny. I'm like, if I could negotiate for pennies, I would be a billionaire. I'm arguing over trip 9 on a cent.
That's awesome.
So it's, people
that's awesome.
These things when they do. So awareness helps. I think community and consensus helps. What you guys do helps.
Exactly.
I don't know what I do, if what I do helps, but I'm trying.
Well, I have to tell you, you are the biggest breath of fresh air, positive energy we've had on this show. Alan, is you anybody else?
Nope.
No, I mean that
SMS Queen wins.
She's the queen of TAD positivity. You brought positivity to the ugly truth that we talk about, and I thank you. And I think we should kind of end it there.
That's it. It was perfect.
You are the queen of positivity, and don't ever change.
I really try not to.
What an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you guys for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I know I stalked you down like a fangirl, but
no, you're the best. You're the best talking ever. You came in here and gave us a great conversation and showed hope and showed somebody who's persevering and showed somebody who's hustling. And look, you're obviously, we talk about women. I have a daughter. We talk about Pooja. I mean, you're an example for women everywhere on why I think a woman should be president, because you're finding really positive things in the ugliest industry in telecom, which is messaging. And I think I'm going to quit Alan after her. I mean, I don't know. Okay. What are we crying about? Holly's okay with it. We're good. Holly, thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.